Avatar movies have always dealt with spirituality as a demonstration of culture because the films show the Na'vi broadly being a collectivist culture, not just in terms of how they live their life, in terms of how they organize each other around food or childcare or whatever, but that they are quite literally all connected to each other and to the environment through this like mycelium network that is centered around Eywa, which is their deity. Different people have interpreted what this is supposed to mean and the whole Eywa concept uh, as something like a Gaia concept way of viewing the earth. And other people have interpreted it as a literal physical being that they are worshipping. I think I used to fall more in the abstract camp with the first two films, and I kind of like that because I'm a person who is very cynical about organized and Abrahamic religion. But I also understand that human beings are always going to wonder about why they're here, and beings or conscious beings in general are always going to be curious about their spirituality. So the religions I tend to be more comfortable with are the ones that just generally seem to just appreciate the environment and what connects them to it rather than forming individual deities and dogma. However, with the third film, there's a lot more personification of Eywa because they're exploring the concept that Kiri is a human embodiment, almost a reincarnation, almost a Buddha-like figure of Eywa. And at the end of the film, alongside a white boy with dreadlocks, she goes into this, hyper conscious space to try and plead with Eywa. And we see this image, this Stanley Kubrick 2001 A Space Odyssey-esque image of a figure that she believes to be Eywa turning her head slightly to look at her. And that's one of my favorite moments of the film. And I was very shocked when I saw it because for some reason I had never pictured in my head that Eywa was a literal Navi looking person. I just thought it was like some spiritual entity energy kind of thing. I've been thinking about what are we supposed to interpret for that scene. That is that literally what all three of them are seeing, or is that what Kiri thinks Eywa would look like? I've heard some people say that what Kiri is seeing is herself, and that if you study the profile, it looks like the features of Sigourney Weaver, who plays Kiri and who they do performance capture as Kiri. And I've even heard some people say there's certain things about what you're seeing from her profile that the pure-blooded Navi don't have. So it can't be a pure Navi Eywa that she's looking at, and it has to be some kind of mental image she has of herself that she's seeing. I've also heard some people say that what Spider and what the baby that with her are seeing is not what she's seeing. Like everybody's seeing their own version of Eywa. Anyway, these kind of concepts have always just been interesting to me, and it's kind of the only thing I kind of care about at this point, seeing what the final movies are going to try and get closure on if we ever do. The concept also of what consciousness is in the Avatar films is something that I've always been curious about as well. And this film kind of dances around it in that when, for example, Quaritch is trying to plead with Spider, that I'm your father, Spider says stuff like, my father is dead. And at some point, Jake, when he's trying to convince Quaritch to open up his third eye, he keeps on reiterating to him that Quaritch is dead, that you're a new being. And I've always wondered that what are they actually saying the avatars are? Are they a continuation of those individuals, or did those people die and were deceased and do not exist anymore? And these are separate individuals. Like, could two of these individuals exist at the same time? Could you have a Jake Sully and Jake the Avatar walking around right beside each other? These films don't seem that interested in actually exploring it properly on a metaphysical level, which is a pity because these are the kind of things that actually do interesting.
Des, does Avatar pass the Bechdel test?
Yes, it does. We have several scenes of Netiri interacting with other women, including Ronald, who Kate Winslet plays, the pregnant
Mm-hmm.
free diver from the tribe. We also see her interacting with Varang, who is her op. She also interacts with Kiri several times, and they all talk about different things. They talk about Eywa, they talk about their fights to save each other. In case of Ronald, Netiri and her talk about their babies and the grieving process. Actually, I'm not sure if her and Varang properly talk. Okay, they do because when she comes
They
to
do,
save Jake, they have a
yeah.
little back and forth before they start
But aren't they
tussling.
talking about a man though? So maybe that doesn't count.
No, but I feel like even aside from them talking specifically about a man and where is Jake, there's a bit of like, I don't fuck with you conversation that
Hmm.
happens between the two of them. But either way, even if it doesn't pass through that pathway, it definitely passes through Neytiri and Ronald talking. I'm not sure if the previous films all pass, but this one does.
For all of my criticisms of this film, one of the things I can't criticize is the interactions between women. As you mentioned, there's lots of different dialogues going on between different women, and also not all of them are friendly, which I like. Because another thing I don't like is this pretense that women are all, especially in the context of talking about Indigenous women, that completely flattening their personalities and acting like everyone's going to be best friends. Obviously, that doesn't work.
To be honest, I actually think the dynamics between women is more complex and interesting in the Avatar movies than between men in this
Yeah,
one.
I would agree with that actually. Yeah. I agree with that. My standout character of the whole film, again, I don't, as you can tell, I don't really like it, but my favorite person is Varang. I like the
Valid.
fact that she's vicious. I like the fact that she's chaotic. I like the fact that she's also somehow very easily seduced because I don't know why she was suddenly so gassed by
Why
porridge.
why is she thirsting over this 70-year-old white man like this?
The same way how the other ladies, human ladies, are thirsting over him. So poor woman, apparently she had no defenses. I also really like the weird dynamic between Neytiri and Rona as well. And there was something about the scene where Rona gives birth and when Itiri just puts her leg up and she's like, listen, just push. There was something about that which was just so funny. And I would say that like I've probably seen women that would do something like that in real life. Like women who are like, listen, I don't fuck with you, but listen, you need to get your baby out. I don't want you to die. At the end of the day, we need to fight these colonizers, so let's go. There was something about that I actually really did like.
I liked it too. The CGI for that baby was very suspicious, which is crazy considering how much time they spend on the CGI for everything else. But I don't know why that baby was looking like that. It was giving very much wicked for good. But yeah, I also
Mhm.
like the birth scene. I thought it was a bit unnecessary for Ronald to die. But yeah, I liked it.
I will say Kiri again. Now that we found out that she's a deity, I actually don't know what to say about her gender, but let's just say that she's a woman for the purpose of this review. Um,
Well, actually, is she a woman? Considering she's kind of a teenager, but she's also a clone
oh
of a
yeah,
grown adult woman, and she's voiced by a 70-year-old woman.
yeah. But let's just say she counts for now. Again, lots of stuff going on in this film. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like her character. I found
I'm
her to
not a
be
huge
poorly written.
fan.
She's boring, surface level, and like you, I get it that Sigourney Weaver is obviously an older woman, but like I shouldn't have known I shouldn't have felt the uncomfortable nature of the relationship between Kiri and Spider as a consumer watching these like animated objects, and I did. I still felt uncomfortable, so that didn't work for me.